"You'll never be enough for my family," Billionaire said. For years later, he saw her with his triplets and everything changed. The museum doors swung open, and Brynn's carefully built world cracked. Not loudly, just a hairline fracture that spiderwebbed through 4 years of safety. She turned with Maya's hand in hers, Sienna and Jade trailing behind. And there he stood, Julian Ashford, frozen near a cockpit display, his expensive suit and hollow eyes fixed on 3 little girls who had his face. Their gazes collided across polished floors and childhood laughter. She watched him count. 1, 2, 3. Watched the math destroy him. For years. 3 daughters. One devastating truth. The purple dresses her girls wore suddenly felt like flags, marking them as his, exposing the secret she'd carried across state lines and sleepless nights. "Mama," Maya whispered, her serious eyes too knowing. "Why is that man staring at us?" Hello, my wonderful friends, and welcome to Mr. William Chronicles, where we transform pain into power and heartbreak into hope. If this is your first time here, become part of our family. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You don't want to miss what happens next. Let me speak a blessing over you today. May every woman who was called not enough discover she was always too much for small minds and smaller hearts. May you have the courage to choose yourself when others won't choose you, the strength to build kingdoms with your bare hands, and the wisdom to know that some men must earn what they once threw away. And may your children rise up and call you blessed, not because you were perfect, but because you never stopped fighting for them. The rain hit the concrete like bullets, turning the parking garage into an echo chamber of everything Brynn Castellanos was about to lose. Julian Ashford stood 3 feet away, his Armani suit darkening with water, his face carved from the same stone as his family's estate in Boulder. Behind him, city lights bled through the downpour, Denver at night, beautiful and indifferent to heartbreak. "Say it," Brynn whispered. Her EMT uniform clung to her skin, still smelling like antiseptic from her shift. "Say what you really mean." Julian's jaw worked. The man who commanded boardrooms, who moved millions with a signature, couldn't meet her eyes. "You're incredible, Brynn. You save lives. You're brilliant and strong and... But my family, the company's succession, I need someone who fits that world." There it was, the truth wrapped in corporate speak. Brynn's laugh came out jagged. "You mean someone white, someone with a trust fund and a pedigree instead of a foster care file." His silence was confirmation enough. She'd known this moment was coming since the gallery opening 3 hours ago, since his mother Vivian had looked at Brynn's department store dress with eyes that calculated and dismissed in seconds, since his sister Paige had asked about her background, with the precision of a surgeon selecting which artery to cut. Julian had stood there, silent, complicit, while his family dissected why a girl from group homes would never be enough for an Ashford. "I loved you," Brynn said quietly. Past tense. Already morning. "I actually believed you were different. I love you too. That's why this is." "Don't." She held up her hand. "Don't insult me by calling this love. Love fights. Love chooses. You're just choosing them." 8 months. They'd had 8 blazing months together. 8 months of stolen nights after her ER shifts, of him showing up at 2 a.m. just to hold her, of sex that felt like worship and conversations that stretched until dawn. 8 months of him keeping her hidden like a secret he was ashamed to claim. She'd told herself it didn't matter that he never brought her to family dinners, never mentioned her to Vivian, never posted photos of them together. She'd survived 16 years of foster care by not needing things she couldn't have. But she'd needed him. And that was the mistake. "Brynn, please. Do you remember how we met?" She stepped closer, rain streaming down her face. "That charity gala." Senator Pritchard collapsed, and everyone froze. "Everyone except me. I had him stabilized in 90 seconds while your mother's society friends screamed and clutched their pearls." Julian's throat worked. "I remember. You found me after. Said you'd never seen anyone that calm under pressure. Said I was extraordinary." Her voice cracked. "When did I stop being extraordinary, Julian? When your mother decided I wasn't." "That's not fair." "Fair." The word exploded out of her. You want to talk about fair? I've been fair for 8 months. Fair while you hid me. Fair while you made excuses about why I couldn't meet your family. Fair while I pretended it didn't get me every time you chose their approval over my dignity. Have you ever loved someone who was ashamed to claim you? Someone who made you feel like you were enough in private, but not in public? Brynn stepped back, putting distance between them. I need you to say it clearly. No corporate double talk. No, it's complicated. Just the truth. Julian's hands flexed at his sides. When he finally spoke, his voice was hollow. You'll never be enough for my family. There it was. The words that would haunt her for years. Brynn nodded once, her spine straightening. She'd learned in foster care how to walk away with dignity, how to leave before they could see you break. Thank you for your honesty. Brynn, wait. But she was already moving, heels clicking against wet concrete, each step taking her away from the man who'd taught her to hope and then crushed it. She made it to her car before the first sob hit, drove home through tears that blurred traffic lights into watercolor smears. Her studio apartment had never felt smaller. Brynn stood in the shower until the water ran cold, trying to wash away the feeling of Julian's hands on her skin, his voice in her ear, the future she'd been stupid enough to imagine. If you've ever had your heart shattered by someone's cowardice, this story is for you. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and stick around, because what happens next will change everything. 3 weeks later, Brynn stared at a pregnancy test in her bathroom. Then another. Then a third. All positive. Her hand shook as she booked an ultrasound, telling herself it was stress, maybe a false positive, anything except the truth growing inside her. The clinic was sterile and cold. The technician was young, chatty, spreading gel across Brynn's abdomen while making small talk about the weather. All right, let's see what we've got here. The wand moved across her belly. The technician's expression shifted. Oh my. Brynn's heart stopped. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. The technician turned the screen. 3 distinct shapes pulsed on the monitor. 3 tiny hearts beating in perfect, terrifying synchronization. Congratulations. You're having triplets. The room spun. Brynn stared at 3 lives she hadn't planned. 3 children whose father had called her not enough. 3 daughters who would carry the DNA of a man who'd chosen his family's approval over everything real. Are you okay? The technician touched her shoulder. This must be quite a shock. Shock didn't cover it. Terror didn't cover it. Brynn was 27, working 60-hour weeks as an EMT, living paycheck to paycheck in a city where Julian Ashford's family owned half the skyline. She was about to become a mother to 3 babies. Alone. Her voice came out strangled. I need a minute. The technician left. Brynn sat up slowly, staring at the ultrasound image the woman had printed. 3 shadowy shapes that looked more like ghosts than babies. Her hands moved to her stomach. 3 lives. 3 futures. Julian's children, growing inside the woman he'd thrown away. Brynn threw herself into work like it could save her. Double shifts at Denver General. Triple shifts when they'd let her. Anything to avoid her empty apartment, where Julian's absence filled every corner like smoke. 3 weeks post-breakup, she was running on 4 hours of sleep and spite. The nausea started on a Tuesday. At first, she blamed the hospital cafeteria burrito. Then stress. Then the flu going around the ER. But when she dry-heaved into a trauma-based sink for the 3rd shift in a row, her colleague Maria handed her a pregnancy test with knowing eyes. Take it. I've seen that look before. Brynn's hands shook in the staff bathroom. 1 line meant freedom. 2 meant her life was about to detonate. 2 pink lines materialized like an accusation. She took another test. Then another. Bought 4 different brands from the hospital pharmacy. Every single one bloomed pink, mocking her with their consistency. No, she whispered to her reflection. No. But her body didn't care about her denial. The ultrasound appointment felt like walking to her execution. The clinic was cold, sterile, smelling like antiseptic and fear. A technician barely older than Brynn chatted about the weather while spreading gel across her abdomen. All right, let's see what we've got. The wand moved. The technician's expression shifted. Oh wow. Bryn's heart stopped. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. The woman turned the screen, her smile spreading. But you might want to hold on to something. 3 distinct shapes pulsed on the monitor. 3 tiny hearts beating in synchronized chaos. Congratulations, the technician said. You're having triplets. The world tilted sideways. Triplets. 3 babies. 3 lives she'd never planned. Children whose father had called her not enough just 3 weeks ago. Are you okay? The technician's hand touched her shoulder. This is a lot to process. Process. What a small word for the earthquake splitting Bryn's life in half. She was 27, working 60-hour weeks as an EMT, living paycheck to paycheck, single, and about to become a mother to 3. I need. Her voice came out strangled. I need to think. That night, Brynn sat on her bathroom floor, staring at the ultrasound image. 3 shadowy shapes that looked more like ghosts than babies. 3 futures that depended entirely on her. Julian deserved to know. She hated that truth, but it existed anyway. These were his children too. Biology didn't care about breakups. 2 days later, she stood outside Ashford Investment Group's headquarters, her scrubs hidden under a coat, her courage held together with spite and obligation. The building stabbed into the sky like a monument to everything Julian's family valued. Glass and steel and inherited wealth. Inside, the lobby gleamed with privilege. A receptionist with perfect hair looked up with a perfect smile. I need to see Julian Ashford. Do you have an appointment? No, but if you tell him Brynn Castellanos is here. Mr. Ashford doesn't see anyone without an appointment. The smile never wavered. If you'd like to leave your name, please, just tell him I'm here. It's important. Something flickered across the woman's face. Pity maybe, or recognition. One moment. She disappeared through a door marked private. Brynn stood surrounded by Ashford family photographs documenting generations of wealth. Julian appeared in several, progressively refined into the man who destroyed her. Movement through a glass conference room wall caught her eye. Julian stood at a table's head, his suit worth more than her rent. Vivian and Paige flanked him. And next to Julian, close enough to touch, stood a blonde woman Brynn had never seen. The woman's hand rested on Julian's arm with casual ownership. She laughed at something he said, her body angled toward him in a way that screamed mine. 2 weeks. He'd waited 2 weeks. Vivian glanced up, her eyes locked onto Brynn through the glass. The older woman's expression shifted, surprise melting into calculation, melting into ice. Vivian leaned toward Julian, gestured toward the lobby. Julian looked up. Their eyes met through the glass. Brynn watched recognition hit him, then panic, then something worse, resignation, like she was a complication he'd hoped to avoid. The receptionist reappeared. I'm sorry, but Mr. Ashford is in meetings all day. Of course he is. Brynn backed toward the exit. Thank you, Miss Castellanos. But Brynn was already running, pushing through revolving doors, gulping air that suddenly felt toxic. Behind her, the lobby door opened. Vivian's heels clicked against marble. She didn't stop until she reached her car 3 blocks away. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She declined it. It rang again, and again. On the 4th call, she answered. What? Brynn. Julian's voice, breathless. Where are you? I'm in the lobby. I saw you. With her. Your replacement. That's not, just tell me where you are. We need to talk. No, we don't. You came to my office. You wouldn't do that unless. Brynn ended the call. Blocked his number. If you've made it this far, show this story some love. Hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment. Should Brynn have fought harder to tell him, or was leaving the right choice? I'm reading every single one. Whatever obligation she'd felt died watching him stand next to his mother's chosen replacement. That night, Brynn circled job listings in Seattle, Portland, anywhere Julian Ashford's shadow didn't reach. Tessa found her at midnight. You're leaving. I can't raise 3 babies in his city, Tess. His family will always be a threat. 2 weeks later, Brynn's entire life fit in her Honda. Tessa cried at the airport. Brynn boarded the plane to Seattle with one suitcase and 3 lives inside her. Below, Denver receded into lights. Julian was down there somewhere, living like she'd never existed. Brynn whispered to her daughters, "Just us now. I'll be enough." Seattle welcomed Brynn with rain and possibility. She rented a studio apartment in a neighborhood where nobody knew the Ashford name. Started her position at Seattle Community Hospital on a Monday, her scrubs already tight across her swelling belly. The other EMTs were kind, curious about the new girl who was clearly pregnant and clearly alone. Brynn deflected questions with practiced smiles, built walls around the parts of herself that still bled. At 7 months, her body finally betrayed her. She couldn't run to ambulances anymore, couldn't lift patients, couldn't do the job that had always been her identity. Her supervisor found her crying in the supply closet. "Take leave," he said gently. "Those babies need you healthy." Brynn had saved enough for 3 months of rent. After that, she'd figure something out. She always did. The apartment felt smaller every day. Brynn assembled 3 cribs from boxes with instructions in 4 languages, painted the second bedroom soft yellow, and talked to her daughters constantly. "Maya," she said to her belly, feeling the highest baby kick, "you're the oldest by 2 minutes. I hope that brings you confidence, not pressure." Sienna, a flutter lower down, "You're tucked between your sisters like you're already protecting them both." And Jade, the wildest kicks, always moving, "You're going to be my fearless one, aren't you?" Labor started 3 weeks early. Brynn was folding tiny onesies when the first contraction hit, a vice grip around her middle that stole her breath. She called Tessa, who was on a plane within an hour. Then she called a cab, grabbed her hospital bag, and tried not to panic. Seattle Community's labor and delivery ward was chaos. Brynn labored alone for the first 12 hours, walking halls while nurses monitored 3 heartbeats through sensors strapped to her massive belly. "Stubborn," the attending doctor said, checking her progress. "All 3 of them want to stay put. They're comfortable." Brynn gasped through a contraction. Can't blame them. But comfort ended when her water broke at hour 15. The delivery room filled with people. 3 pediatric teams, multiple nurses, the attending barking orders. Brynn had delivered dozens of babies in her career, had coached countless women through labor. Being on this side of it was terrifying. "You're doing great," her nurse said, squeezing her hand. "Just a little longer." Tessa burst through the doors at hour 25, still wearing her airport clothes, mascara smeared from crying on the plane. "I'm here." She grabbed Brynn's other hand without asking permission. "I'm here, you're doing this, you're so strong." Maya came first at hour 30, screaming her fury at being evicted. 5 pounds even, with a full head of dark hair and lungs that could wake the dead. "She's perfect," the nurse said, placing her on Brynn's chest for 30 seconds before whisking her to the warmer. Elise followed 10 minutes later, quieter, her eyes open and searching. For pounds 3 ounces, the smallest of the 3. "Hi, sweetheart," Brynn whispered, tears streaming. "Hi, baby girl." Jade took another 20 minutes, like she was making a dramatic entrance. 5 pounds 2 ounces, and she came out with her fist near her face, ready to fight the world. They placed all 3 on Brynn's chest, tiny, slick, more beautiful than anything she'd ever seen. Their skin was a shade lighter than hers, a reminder of their father written into their genetics. "Hi," Brynn sobbed. "Hi, my girls. I'm your mama. I'm going to keep you safe. I promise." Tessa took photos with shaking hands, crying so hard she could barely see. The first night, Brynn didn't sleep. She stood over their isolates, watching their chests rise and fall, counting breaths like prayers. A nurse found her at dawn. "You need rest. They're fine." "I know. Brynn couldn't look away. "I can't stop looking at them." The nurse's smile was understanding. "First time, Mom. First time everything." They went home after 5 days. 3 car seats strapped into Brynn's back seat like the world's most precious cargo. Tessa drove while Brynn sat in back, watching her daughter sleep. The apartment had never felt smaller. The girls cried in rotation, an endless symphony of need. Maya would finish nursing, and Sienna would start screaming. By the time Sienna was changed and fed, Jade was awake and furious. Brynn learned to survive on 2-hour sleep increments, learned to nurse 2 at once while the third waited, learned to change diapers one-handed, to function on coffee and adrenaline and love so fierce it physically hurt. Tessa stayed 2 weeks before her vacation days ran out. "I don't want to leave you," she said at the airport, both of them crying again. "We'll be fine. We'll figure it out." Alone again, Brynn discovered reserves of strength she hadn't known existed. She moved through her days like a machine programmed for survival. Feed, burp, change, sleep, repeat. But there were moments, perfect, crystalline moments, that made the exhaustion worthwhile. Maya's first smile came at 6 weeks, completely unexpected during a 3 a.m. feeding. Her tiny face transformed, and Brynn cried harder than she had during labor. Sienna discovered her hands at 8 weeks, studying them like they were scientific specimens. Her expression, so serious that Brynn laughed until her sides hurt. Jade's belly laugh at 10 weeks, triggered by Brynn making ridiculous faces, was the most beautiful sound in the world. If you're still watching, you're amazing. Show some love. Smash that subscribe button and drop a like. Comment which triplet is your favorite so far, Maya, Sienna, or Jade. Time moved in strange ways. Days lasted forever. Months evaporated. Suddenly, they were sitting up, then crawling, then pulling themselves upright on furniture, their faces bright with achievement. Their personalities emerged like flowers blooming. Maya was serious, always watching, always thinking. She'd sit for an hour with a picture book, studying each page like it held secrets. Sienna collected things, rocks from the playground, leaves from walks, buttons that fell off coats. She lined them up in careful rows, her own private museum that made sense only to her. Jade climbed everything, felt constantly, never cried unless her sisters were hurt. She was fearless in a way that terrified and amazed Brynn equally. Brynn returned to work part-time when they turned 1, found a daycare run by Mrs. Chun, who charged half what Brynn earned but loved the girls like they were her own grandchildren. The promotion to clinic coordinator came with a raise that meant breathing room. They moved to a 2-bedroom apartment with a small backyard. The girls learned to walk, stumbling after each other like ducklings. Their 4th birthday party was simple, just them, Tessa, who'd flown in, and Mrs. Chun. Purple cupcakes, because purple was their unanimous favorite. They sang off-key and ate frosting with their hands. Another parent at the park asked about their father that afternoon. Brynn had perfected this answer. "It's just us, and we're enough." But that night, after baths and stories, after tucking 3 exhausted girls into their shared room, Brynn stood in the doorway, watching them sleep. They were tangled together like vines, Maya with her arm thrown over Sienna, Jade's foot pressed against Maya's back. They'd been together since conception, and even in sleep, they reached for each other. Brynn whispered what she told them every night. "You are wanted. You are loved. You are exactly who you're supposed to be." She'd built this life from heartbreak, made a home from nothing, given her daughters everything that mattered. But sometimes, late at night, when exhaustion cracked her defenses, she wondered what Julian would think if he could see them, if he'd regret his choice, if 3 perfect girls would have been enough to make him stay. Saturday mornings were sacred. No work, no daycare, just Brynn and her girls doing whatever they wanted. This Saturday, they'd chosen the Museum of Flight, Seattle's massive aerospace museum that the girls had been begging to visit for weeks. "Mama, can we see the big planes?" Jade bounced in her car seat, unable to contain her excitement. "We can see all the planes, baby." "I want to learn how they fly," Maya said seriously from the middle seat. "Mrs. Chun says it's about aerodynamics." "Aero what?" Jade wrinkled her nose. "It means air movement, dummy." "Maya, don't call your sister dummy." Brynn caught her oldest eye in the rearview mirror. "And yes, we'll learn all about it." Sienna clutched a smooth stone she'd found that morning. "Can I bring River Rock?" "River Rock can come," Brynn smiled. "But he stays in your pocket inside, okay?" They dressed themselves that morning, all three choosing matching purple dresses without consultation. It happened sometimes, this triplet telepathy that Brynn had stopped questioning. The museum was already crowded when they arrived. Families everywhere, children running between exhibits, the massive space echoing with excitement and jet engines. "Stay where I can see you," Brynn called as the girls raced toward the entrance. They scattered the moment they got inside. Maya made a beeline for a cockpit display, standing on tiptoes to peer inside. Sienna found a collection of flight pins under glass, studying them with intense focus. Jade discovered that the museum had railings perfect for climbing. "Jay, down." Brynn ran over, catching her daughter mid-climb. "We talked about this." "But Mama, I can see everything from up here." "You can see everything from the ground, too." With both feet on it, Brynn spent the next hour chasing 3 different girls in 3 different directions. Maya asked questions that Brynn couldn't answer about thrust ratios. Sienna collected every free brochure to organize later. Jade tried to climb into an actual fighter jet display until a security guard politely intervened. "Your hands are full," another mother commented, watching Brynn corral all 3 near the bathroom. Every single day, Brynn laughed. She was heading toward the main exhibit hall, Maya's hand in hers while calling for Sienna and Jade. When she saw him, Julian Ashford stood near a cockpit display, frozen like someone had pressed pause on his life. For years had changed him. Gray threaded through his hair now, lines carved deep around his mouth. He wore an expensive suit, but it hung on him differently, like the man inside it had been hollowed out. He was staring at her daughters, their eyes locked across the crowded museum. Brynn's world telescoped down to that single moment, past colliding with present. The man who'd thrown her away, standing 15 feet from the children he'd never known existed. His face went through a series of expressions: shock, recognition, mathematical calculation. She watched him count. 3 girls. Same height. Same age. His eyes, repeated 3 times in smaller faces. "Mama, who's that man?" Maya tugged her hand, following her gaze. "Why is he staring at us?" Julian took a step forward. Brynn grabbed Sienna and Jade. "We're leaving." "But Mama." "Now." She herded them toward the exit, moving fast, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. Behind her, she heard him calling her name. "Brynn, wait." She didn't stop, didn't look back, got all 3 girls to the car, her hands shaking so badly she could barely buckle their seatbelts. "Mama, what's wrong?" Sienna's voice was small, scared. "Why are we leaving?" "Change of plans, baby. We'll come back another day." "But we just got here." Jade's face crumpled. "That's not fair." Brynn made it 3 blocks before she had to pull over, her hands trembling too badly to drive safely. She sat in a grocery store parking lot, gripping the steering wheel, trying to breathe through the panic attack clawing up her throat. "Mama." Maya's voice came from the back seat, thick with worry. "Are you crying?" "I'm okay, sweetheart. Just give Mama a minute." But she wasn't okay. Julian Ashford had seen them, had seen 3 little girls with his eyes, his bone structure, his genetics written across their faces. And now he knew. Her phone rang that night after the girls were asleep. Unknown number. Her thumb hovered over decline, but something made her answer. "Brynn." Julian's voice wrecked. "Please don't hang up." She should have blocked the number, thrown the phone across the room, protected herself from whatever he was about to say. "Were you pregnant?" The question came out raw. When we... Yes. Silence. "Then those girls. They're mine, aren't they?" "They're mine." The word came out fierce. "You gave up any claim 4 years ago." "I didn't know." "Brynn, I swear I didn't know." "If I had." "You did know. You knew I came to your office. You knew your mother had me removed. You knew, and you did nothing." "That's not..." He stopped. Started again. "My mother told me this morning, after I called her from the museum. She admitted she suspected you were pregnant, that she had you escorted out." Brynn's laugh was acid. "And that makes it better? That your mother decided for you?" "No, nothing makes it better. But Brynn, I need to see them. I need to meet them properly." They're my daughters. No. Her voice went cold. They're my daughters. You're just the DNA donor who called their mother not enough. Please. The word broke. I'm begging you. Let me meet them. Let me be part of their lives. I'll do anything. Brynn closed her eyes. She'd spent 4 years building a life where Julian Ashford didn't exist, where her daughters were safe from his family's poison, from his cowardice, from the rejection that had nearly destroyed her. But they were his daughters, too. Biology didn't care about parking garage confessions or broken hearts. If, she stopped, hating herself for what she was about to say. If I let you meet them, we do this my way. My rules. You don't get to swoop in and disrupt everything I built. Anything. Whatever you want. You're not their father. Not yet. Maybe not ever. You're Mr. Julian, a friend of mine. That's all. The designation landed like a slap. Good. No gifts, she continued. No promises about the future. No mentioning your family. They don't need to know about people who would reject them. My family would never. Your mother had me thrown out of a building because I wasn't good enough. You think she'll suddenly embrace 3 black grandchildren? Don't insult my intelligence. Silence. Then, okay. Your rules. When can I see them? I'll call you when I'm ready. Until then, stay away from us. She hung up before he could respond. In her bedroom, the girls slept in her bed again, tangled together like they'd been in the womb. Brynn watched their faces, so peaceful, so unaware that their world was about to shift. She'd protected them from his absence. Now she had to protect them from his presence. And she had no idea if she was strong enough to do both. 2 weeks of silence. Julian called 17 times. Left 12 voicemails that Brynn deleted without listening. Sent texts that she archived unread. She needed time. Time to process. Time to prepare the girls. Time to build walls high enough that he couldn't hurt them the way he'd hurt her. On day 15, she finally called back. Heathman Hotel lobby. Tomorrow at 10. Just you and me. We talk first. He was already there when she arrived at 9:50, sitting in a leather chair like a man awaiting sentencing. He'd lost weight. The expensive suit hung differently, and there were shadows under his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. Good. Thank you for coming, he started. I didn't come for you. Brynn remained standing, forcing him to stand too. I came because my daughters deserve to know their father exists. That's separate from what you deserve. I understand. Do you? She crossed her arms. Because I'm about to lay out rules, and if you break even one, you never see them again. I'll follow any rules you set. You're not their father. Not to them. You're Mr. Julian, Mama's friend from before. That's all. The words hit him like a physical blow. How long? However long it takes. Maybe forever. Her voice was steel. You earn the title Dad through showing up. Through being there when it's hard and boring and exhausting. You don't get it just because your DNA is in them. Julian nodded, his jaw tight. No gifts to buy their affection. No promises about the future. No mentioning your family, especially your mother. They don't need to know about people who'd reject them for existing. Anything else? If they're uncomfortable, we're done. If they don't want to see you again, we're done. If you disappoint them even once, we're done. I understand. Brynn studied him, looking for the crack, the moment he'd choose easy over hard. Why now, Julian? Why do you suddenly care? I saw them. His voice broke. I saw 3 little girls with my eyes, and I realized I'd thrown away everything that mattered. I can't fix what I did to you, but maybe I can be something to them. They don't need your guilt. They need consistency. They need someone who shows up day after day, not just when it's convenient. I'll show up, every single time. We'll see. Brynn pulled out her phone. Pacific Science Center. Saturday at 2. They'll be there with my friend Tessa. We'll accidentally run into you. You say hello, make small talk for 10 minutes, then you leave. That's it. Can you tell me about them? Their names there. Maya is the oldest by 2 minutes. She's serious, watchful, asks questions that'll make your head spin. Sienna is the middle daughter. She collects things, rocks, leaves, buttons. Needs order and predictability. Jade is the youngest by 4 minutes. Climbs everything. Fears nothing except the dark. Julian's eyes were wet. They sound perfect. They are. And I won't let you break them. Saturday came too fast and not fast enough. Brynn had explained to the girls that they might see her old friend Julian at the museum. Maya had asked 30 questions. Sienna had worried about whether she should bring River Rock. Jade had announced she was going to climb on him to see if he was strong. The Pacific Science Center buzzed with weekend crowds. Brynn spotted Julian near the physics exhibit, looking more nervous than she'd ever seen him. "Girls, stay close," she called as they raced toward the water table exhibit. They were soaked within minutes, splashing each other with complete disregard for anyone else. Maya concentrated on making a water wheel spin. Sienna crouched down, examining something under the table. Jade climbed onto the table's edge, reaching for a toy boat another child held. "Jade, down." Brynn ran over. "We don't climb on." "Brynn." She turned. Julian stood 3 feet away, his expression carefully neutral for the girl's sake. But his eyes were drowning. "Julian." She kept her voice light. "What are you doing here?" "Just exploring." He couldn't look away from the girls. "Are these my daughters?" "Maya, Sienna, Jade, come say hello." 3 wet, curious faces turned toward them. They approached cautiously, assessing this stranger with varying degrees of interest. Julian crouched down, bringing himself to their level. Up close, the resemblance was devastating. All 3 had his eyes, that specific shade of hazel that shifted in different light. Maya had his bone structure. Jade had his stubborn chin. "Hi," he managed, his voice cracking. "I'm Julian." "That's a funny name," Jade announced. "Are you Mama's friend?" Yes. We used to know each other." "Why did you stop?" Maya's question was direct, her expression too understanding for someone so small. "I moved away, but I'm back now." "Do you like science?" Maya gestured toward the exhibits. "Because this place has real physics demonstrations." "I love science." Julian's smile was genuine now. "Want to show me?" For the next 10 minutes, Brynn watched her daughters wrap Julian into their world with the generous hearts of children who'd been taught to be kind. Maya explained the water wheel's mechanics with serious intensity, and Julian listened like she was teaching quantum physics. When she got a concept right, his face lit up. "That's exactly right. You're brilliant." Sienna showed him a rock she'd found, opening her palm like she was revealing treasure. "I found this outside. It has sparkles." "It's beautiful," Julian said, taking it with reverence. "What kind do you think it is?" "Quartz maybe. Or mica. I'm still learning." "You're a scientist in the making." Jade climbed onto his shoulders without asking permission, using him like playground equipment. "You're tall. Can you see everything?" "I can now," Julian laughed, his hands steady on her legs. "What should we look at first?" "Everything." Brynn stood apart, watching this man she'd loved transform into someone she barely recognized. He was patient with Maya's endless questions, gentle with Sienna's shyness, playful with Jade's wildness. He was good with them. That terrified her more than anything. You've made it halfway through this story. If you're feeling it, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to Mr. William Chronicles. Drop a comment telling me what you think Julian needs to do to earn the title Dad. Let's talk about it. "All right, girls," Brynn finally said. "Time to go." "But Mama," Jade protested from Julian's shoulders. "We just started. We've been here an hour, baby. Can Mr. Julian come again?" Sienna's voice was soft, hopeful. Brynn looked at Julian. He was staring at her with naked hope, with desperation barely contained. "Maybe," she said carefully, "if Mr. Julian wants to." "I do." He lifted Jade down gently. "I'd really like that." They said goodbye at the entrance. The girls hugged Julian without hesitation, 3 small bodies pressing against him like they'd known him forever instead of minutes. "See you soon?" Maya asked. "I hope so." Julian looked at Brynn. "If that's okay with your mom." After buckling the girls in the car, Brynn found Julian still standing there, looking gutted. Same time next week, she said quietly. Woodland Park Zoo. Don't be late. I won't. Brynn, thank you. Don't thank me. Prove you deserve this. The next weeks became a routine. Zoo Saturdays. Library story times on Wednesdays. Julian showed up early every time, stayed exactly as long as Brynn allowed, never pushed for more. He learned their world. Learned that Maya's silence meant processing. That Sienna needed warning before transitions. That Jade's hyperactivity spiked when she was anxious. He learned to braid hair badly, but he tried. Learned which ice cream flavors each girl preferred. Learned that purple was sacred, that bedtime stories required different voices, that I'm fine from any of them meant the opposite. Month 2, Brynn allowed Tuesday and Thursday dinners at her apartment. Julian arrived at 5:30 with nothing but himself and visible anxiety. The apartment was chaos, toys everywhere, girls arguing about homework, dinner burning on the stove. I don't know what I'm doing, he admitted. Brynn thrust Sienna at him. She needs help with her math worksheet. Figure it out. He did. Sat cross-legged on the floor, helping Sienna work through addition problems with patience that surprised them both. When she got answers right, his face transformed. You're so smart, sweetheart. Dinner was chicken and rice. Simple, but it worked. The girls talked over each other, telling stories that made no linear sense. Julian listened like every word mattered. Why do you want to be here? Maya asked suddenly, her serious eyes fixed on him. With us. Julian set down his fork. Because I missed 4 years of knowing you, and I can't get those back. But maybe I can be part of the years ahead. Our mama says you made a mistake, Jade said, completely unfiltered. A really big one. Your mama's right. The biggest mistake of my life. Are you going to make another mistake? Oprah's question cut straight through. Are you going to leave? No. Julian's voice was firm. I promise. Promises can break, Maya said wisely. People leave. Some people do. But I won't. I'll keep showing up until you believe me. After the girls went to bed, Brynn found Julian washing dishes in her kitchen. You don't have to do that. I want to help. They worked in silence, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down like humidity. They're incredible, Julian finally said. You've done an amazing job. I did what I had to do. You did more than that. You've raised 3 brilliant, kind, confident girls completely alone. That's, Brynn, that's extraordinary. She didn't respond. Couldn't let his praise crack the walls she'd built. Month 3 brought the breakthrough. Can we go to Mr. Julian's house? Jade asked one Thursday. We want to see where he lives. Brynn had been dreading this. His apartment meant giving him space with them, meant trusting him beyond her supervision. This weekend, she finally agreed. Just for a few hours. Julian's apartment was modest, smaller than she'd expected. No designer furniture. No expensive art. Just a simple space with 3 stuffed animals on the couch. You have toys. Sienna picked up a rabbit. For us. I got them months ago, Julian admitted. I was hoping you'd visit. The girls claimed those toys like treasures, proof that they'd been wanted before they arrived. 6 months changed everything and nothing. Julian had become part of their rhythm. Every Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings, occasional Wednesday library trips. The girls called him Dad. Now it had happened naturally one morning when Jade shouted, Dad, watch this, before launching herself off a swing. Julian had frozen, tears streaming down his face, while Jade landed and looked at him confused. What's wrong? Nothing, baby. Everything's right. But between Brynn and Julian, the distance remained. They co-parented with careful civility, discussing schedules in clipped texts, exchanging the girls at doorways without lingering, maintaining walls that never lowered. Their 5th birthday party was the first time both families converged. Brynn's apartment overflowed with purple decorations. Tessa had flown in, immediately pulling Brynn aside. You and Julian are doing that thing, Tessa whispered. What thing? That thing where you're so good together it hurts to watch, but you're both pretending there's nothing there. There isn't anything there. Liar. The girls ran wild, high on sugar and attention. Julian had brought cupcakes, homemade, slightly lopsided. Exactly what they'd requested. He'd learned to bake for them, had taken a class. Brynn watched him light candles, watched her daughters' faces glow in the candlelight, watched him look at them like they'd hung the moon. Make a wish. Maya called out. 3 small faces scrunched in concentration. I wished for a puppy, Jade announced immediately. You're not supposed to tell. Sienna gasped. Now it won't come true. What did you wish for? Julian asked Sienna gently. She glanced between him and Brynn. I can't say. It's secret. But Maya, serious, watchful Maya, said it anyway. She wished you and Mama would get married. The room went silent. Julian's eyes found Brynn's across the chaos. Something passed between them. Old pain, new possibility. The weight of everything they destroyed and might rebuild. That's not how wishes work, Maya continued, practical as always. You can't make other people's choices. Maybe they just need time, Sienna said hopefully. After the party, after Tessa left for her hotel, after the girls crashed in a sugar-induced stupor, Julian stayed to help clean up. They worked in loaded silence, throwing away paper plates, boxing up leftover cupcakes. We're good at this, Julian finally said. At being their parents together. We're good at co-parenting, Brynn corrected. That's different. Is it? She stopped, a trash bag in her hands. What are you asking, Julian? I'm asking if there's any chance, any possibility, for us. Not just as their parents, but as... No. The word landed like a door slamming. Brynn, please. I've changed. I've spent 6 months proving. You've spent 6 months proving you can be their father. That's separate from what you destroyed between us. Her voice was calm, final. You threw me away, called me not enough. Do you understand what that did? I know I hurt you. You didn't hurt me, Julian. You shattered me. She set down the trash bag, faced him fully. I was pregnant with your children, and you had me removed from your building like I was garbage. Your mother knew. You knew I tried to tell you. And you did nothing. I didn't know she'd. It doesn't matter. The words exploded out. Even if you didn't know about the pregnancy, you made your choice in that parking garage. You chose your family's approval over me. Over us. What happens the next time they pressure you? The next time being with me gets hard. That won't happen. I've cut them off. I chose you, chose the girls. You chose the girls, Brynn interrupted. That's not the same as choosing me. And I won't be someone you settle for, because you want access to your daughters. Julian's face crumpled. That's not what this is. Isn't it? Her eyes held 4 years of survival. I've forgiven you for them, so they can have their father without carrying my pain. But my heart? You don't get that again. I can't risk it on someone who proved once they'll choose wrong when it matters. People change. People disappoint. Her voice went soft, sad. I've learned that lesson too many times. You can be their father. You are their father. But you and me? That died 4 years ago. Silence stretched between them like a chasm. Then I'll be grateful for what I have, Julian finally said. They're more than I deserve. Yes, they are. He left, and Brynn closed the door gently, leaned against it, let one tear fall. In her bedroom, 3 daughters slept in her bed, tangled together like they'd been in the womb, their faces peaceful, unmarked by the complicated truth of their origins. They had a father now, had routine and stability, and 2 parents who loved them fiercely, if separately. It wasn't the fairy tale. It wasn't the reunion where broken things magically healed. But it was real. It was honest. It was enough. Brynn climbed into bed, careful not to wake them. Maya shifted, pressing closer. Sienna's hand found hers in sleep. Jade's foot landed on her stomach. She'd built this. Had created something unbreakable from heartbreak. And if Julian never had her heart again, if they remained forever in this careful distance, her daughters had everything they needed. Sometimes that had to be enough. If this story hit you in the feels, show Mr. William Chronicles some love. Subscribe for more stories that matter. Drop a like if Brynn made the right choice, and comment below. Team Second Chance or Team Guard Your Heart? Share this with someone who needs to hear it. New stories every week. Thank you for being here.